The divorce papers felt heavier than they looked, as if every broken promise and every silent night had sunk into the pages and settled there, refusing to let go. I held them firmly, but my hand still trembled, not because I wanted to stay, but because of the sheer absurdity of what stood in front of me. My husband, James, wasn't devastated or confused. No, his lips were twitching with the effort it took not to smile. That tiny spark of triumph in his eyes was unmistakable, as if he believed he had just won something. "So you'll really just leave?" James asked, raising an eyebrow with exaggerated concern. His voice didn't match his expression. He sounded almost cheerful. His hand reached for Rachel's automatically, fingers intertwining like they'd been practicing this moment for months. She sat right beside him, on my designer sofa. The same sofa for which I'd skipped vacations, extra coffees, and weekend brunches so I could save enough to buy it. 6 months of discipline. One impulsive betrayal was all it took for her to sit there, as if she owned it. "I'm taking all my personal belongings with me," I said calmly, placing the divorce papers on the coffee table with deliberate precision. "Just so we're clear." Rachel's eyes were greedy, scanning the room like a child loose in a candy store. She traced the custom lighting, the mid-century furniture, the curated decor pieces that I had spent years assembling. Her gaze soaked in everything I had built with my creativity and my savings. "This place is perfect," she sighed, stroking the velvet armrest of the sofa. "It's exactly what I've always wanted." James smirked, barely glancing at me. "Your old clothes and whatever, take them. They just remind me of our miserable time together." I inhaled slowly, refusing to react. He wanted a reaction. I wouldn't give him that gift. "I'll have movers here tomorrow," I said. "Just remember, you agreed to no division of property." His smirk faltered for half a second, but he recovered quickly, squeezing Rachel's hand like he was reassuring himself rather than her. "My name is Lauren. I'm 29, an interior designer who once believed marriage meant partnership. 3 years ago, I married James, a man who knew how to talk big but lived smaller than his promises. He worked in construction management and inherited his grandparents' house a month before our wedding. The place had good bones but awful taste, beige walls, peeling laminate, mismatched furniture. He'd decorated it with items his friends had left behind during moves and bargain bin impulse purchases. When we married, I didn't see a rundown house. I saw potential. A canvas. A place I could shape into something beautiful. And I did. Not with his help, but with my own money, my own weekends, my own skills. I transformed that forgotten 1980s shell into a space worthy of a magazine cover. And like any professional, I documented everything. Each receipt, each order, each custom install. But the house wasn't the only thing that needed renovation. The marriage did too. The little cracks became fractures. Dishes left in the sink no matter how many times we talked about sharing chores. Complaints about meals I cooked after working 10-hour days. Dismissive comments like, "You're obsessed with how things look." His carelessness with the house extended to his carelessness with me. Then came the messages, 6 months ago, screenshots, restaurant bills, hotel bookings, conversations dripping with admiration for his taste and effort, as if he had created the beauty around him. Her name was Rachel, 25, a temp at his office with a curated Instagram full of home decor she wished she could afford. She wrote to her friend, "James has such amazing taste. His wife doesn't appreciate what he's built." What he had built. The irony would have been funny if it hadn't been so insulting. I didn't confront him. I gathered proof. Quietly, patiently, strategically. When I reached out to Rachel and invited her over for a conversation, I expected discomfort, maybe guilt. Instead, she arrived glowing like someone coming to collect a prize she believed she deserved. A new dress, fresh curls, overconfidence. "I never meant to hurt you," she began dramatically, leaning forward with wide, sympathetic eyes. "But when two people connect the way James and I have—" "Let's just get this over with," I interrupted, sliding the divorce papers toward them. Her eyes brightened. She looked at James triumphantly. "I told you she'd be reasonable," she gushed. James nodded. Lauren, has always been practical." Another wrong name slip. He'd been calling me the wrong name for months. I wondered if he ever noticed. I doubt it. Rachel stood and began wandering the house like it was already hers. "Let me show you around," she said, practically squealing. "I have so many ideas for this place." I followed her but said nothing. She caressed surfaces, touched lampshades, lifted Dacre pieces to inspect them. She had no idea that every item she admired was about to disappear from her world. "These light fixtures are stunning," she said breathlessly. "And this dining table custom." "It is," I said evenly. "Everything here was specifically chosen for the space." "Perfect," she exhaled. "I wouldn't change a thing." "You won't have to," James said confidently. "Lauren's just taking her clothes." I nodded. Just clothes, that's what they thought. When I told them movers would arrive at 9 a.m., they didn't question it. They thought I would quietly walk away with a few boxes while they continued their fantasy life in my creations. They had no idea what was coming. The movers arrived at 9:00 a.m. on the dot, exactly as I'd scheduled. 2 massive trucks and 6 uniformed workers stepped out with practiced precision, carrying equipment, padded blankets, toolkits, and industrial carts. They looked like a small army sent on a mission. My mission. A mission I had been preparing for the moment I discovered the texts. "Good morning, Miss Turner," the foreman greeted me, tipping his cap respectfully. "We've reviewed the full inventory list you sent. Looks like a comprehensive extraction." "Correct," I said. "Everything on the list goes, no exceptions." James emerged from the bedroom wearing a robe, hair messy, looking more confused than awake. Rachel followed him, also in a robe, rubbing her eyes. When they saw the trucks outside, both paused in the doorway. "Why are there 2 trucks?" Rachel asked, frowning as the movers began rolling protective equipment inside. "How many clothes do you have?" James added with a dry laugh. I didn't answer either of them. Instead, I handed the foreman my tablet with the digital inventory. A precise, item-by-item list containing every piece of furniture, lighting, Dacre, appliance, artwork, and custom installation I had purchased over the last 3 years. The foreman nodded. "Understood. We'll begin immediately." Within minutes, the living room came alive with movement. Movers wrapped the artwork from the walls, lifted the mid-century coffee table, unscrewed the large circular mirror above the fireplace, and began carefully preparing everything for transport. James blinked slowly, finally waking up enough to realize something was off. Really off. "Excuse me. Hey," he shouted as 2 movers carefully lifted the sectional sofa he and Rachel had been lounging on just yesterday. "Where are you taking the couch?" "That's my couch." I didn't flinch. I handed him a thick folder instead. "Here are the receipts," I said clearly, keeping my voice calm. "Every piece of furniture, every fixture, every Dacre item, purchased by me with my own money, after marriage." He flipped through the folder, his face draining of color as he scanned the totals. Each receipt was labeled, dated, photographed, and organized. There was no disputing the proof. "You can't do this," he sputtered. "We've been using these things for years. They're basically ours." "Usage doesn't transfer ownership," I replied, turning to instruct the movers to disconnect the custom shelving lights. "And you signed the agreement. No division of property." Rachel's voice cracked as she watched the dining table being dismantled. "Wait, you're taking that too?" "Yes," I said calmly. "Everything except the built-in structures belonging to the house itself." "What about the curtains?" she cried. "Those are literally attached to the house." "And custom," I answered. "Paid for by me, so they're leaving." One by one, the illusions they had built for themselves began to unravel. The perfect home Rachel had fantasized about transformed into an empty shell before her eyes. By noon, the living room was completely bare. By 2 p.m., the kitchen looked like a construction site. The bar stools, the premium appliances I bought, the designer ceramic jars, even the specialized hanging pot rack were gone. By 3 p.m., the master bedroom had no bed, no mattress, no lamps, no rugs, no artwork. Rachel sat on the floor in disbelief. "This looks horrible," she whispered, staring at the blank walls. "This house looks so cheap without your stuff. Why does it look so small now?" "Because my work elevated it. Because I made it more than walls and floors. Because it was my talent, not his, that created beauty." James alternated between screaming and pleading, packing behind the movers like a panicked dog chasing a moving car. "You can't take the light fixtures," he yelled as the electrician on the team gently removed the custom sconces I'd installed. "They're wired into the walls." "And purchased by me," I repeated for the 7th time. "So they go." The movers continued their work efficiently, unaffected by the chaos. They'd seen this kind of meltdown before, though maybe not on this scale. By 4 p.m., even the curtain rods were removed, leaving bare windows and unfiltered sunlight flooding into the empty space. Then came the final blow. A small panel van pulled up the driveway. 2 workers in navy coveralls stepped out holding large equipment cases. "Mrs. Turner," one asked, "we're here for the wallpaper removal." Rachel's jaw dropped so hard, I thought it might hit the floor. "Wallpaper removal," she echoed, stunned. "You're taking the walls now." I smiled politely. "Not the walls, just the custom wallpaper. It's printed using my design license and paid for entirely by me. The company is here to safely detach and roll it for transport." "You can't do that," James shouted. "It's stuck to the house." "Yes," I said, "just like my life was, and I'm unsticking that too." The workers began steaming and carefully peeling the wallpaper in perfect sheets, preserving the high-end material. Now the house truly looked ancient, old, tired, exposed. The cracks in the paint, the uneven patches he never bothered to repair, the discolored drywall, all visible now that my designs were gone. For the first time, James saw the truth. Without me, the house was nothing special. Rachel buried her face in her hands. "This place looks like a thrift store's basement." "More like a warehouse," James muttered, defeated. I stood in the center of the now empty room, the same room I had once filled with warmth, color, and harmony, and felt absolutely nothing. Not guilt. Not sadness. Not even anger. Just clean emptiness, like the house. When the movers loaded the last piece onto the trucks, I signed the final checklist and turned to James and Rachel. "Well," I said, "I believe this concludes my part in your dream home fantasy." Rachel glared at me with ruined mascara streaks. "How could you do this to us?" "You wanted the house," I replied. "Now you have it, just the house." James stepped forward as if trying to salvage authority, but he looked small, so small in that hollow space. "You'll regret this," he hissed. "I swear you will. I'll sue you. On what grounds?" I asked. "You keep what's yours, I keep what's mine. That's what the contract says." He fell silent because he knew I was right. I walked out without looking back. The workers locked the trucks, engines rumbling to life. As the convoy rolled away, I felt something inside me unlock, something that had been stuck for years. Freedom. Raw, honest, unfiltered freedom. I didn't just empty the house. I emptied my life of everything that wasn't mine. And finally, I felt like I had taken myself back. 2 weeks passed before my phone lit up with James's name. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe he but dialed me, or maybe my phone had glitched. But then it rang again, and again. 5 missed calls, then 10, then a voicemail, then a text. "Lauren, please answer. It's important." I stared at the screen without touching it. Important for whom? For me, everything important had already happened. I had moved into my new loft apartment, surrounded by fresh colors, new textures, new energy. I'd kept a few select pieces of my old decor, the ones that didn't carry memories of compromise or silent suffering, but most of my belongings had already been sold at a private auction. The proceeds had funded a complete transformation of my new home. Rich jewel tones, handcrafted ceramics, a minimalist oak dining table with curved edges, linen drapes that softened the sunlight. Everything here felt like me, quiet strength, deliberate beauty, and calm certainty. No noise, no clutter, no man taking up space he didn't deserve. Another voicemail came through. "Lauren, please call me back. It's about the house." I let it sit. I had no obligation to respond. He made choices. Now he had consequences. Eventually, curiosity got the better of me. Not emotional curiosity, strategic curiosity. I played the voicemail on speaker while sipping tea and watering my new monstera plant. His voice sounded strange, hollow, shaky. Not the confident, patronizing tone he used to adopt every time he dismissed my opinions. "Rachel left," he said. "She said she couldn't live like this. She said the house looks depressing. She said I tricked her. I didn't. I swear I didn't know things would turn out like this. She thought I made the house beautiful." He stopped talking for a few seconds, as if swallowing pride that wouldn't go down. "I tried to replace the furniture, but everything I find looks cheap and wrong. Nothing fits. Nothing works. I didn't realize how much you did, how much you knew. The rooms look smaller now. The walls look uneven. Everything feels off." A slow, humorless smile tugged at my lips. Reality had finally arrived. He kept talking. "I don't know what to do anymore. Could you please help me? Even just to make the place livable. I know I messed up. I know I ruined everything. I'm sorry, I really am." "Sorry." The word floated in the room like a disoriented bird unsure where to land. 3 years of excuses, dismissals, insults, and indifference. And now he found the word sorry only after his mistress fled because she couldn't stand the empty house. I deleted the voicemail. But later that night, he called again. This time from a different number. He must have borrowed a friend's phone. "Lauren," he said breathlessly, as if afraid I'd hang up. "Please don't block me, not yet, just hear me out." I should have hung up, but a strange calmness washed over me. I wanted to hear how far he'd fall before the truth broke him completely. "I've been trying to fix things," he said. "I bought furniture online. I got rugs, lamps. Everything looked nice in the pictures, but when I set it all up, it just looks wrong. Nothing matches. The house feels empty, cold, lonely, like a hospital lobby." His voice cracked slightly. "I didn't know it was you. I mean, I knew you did interior design, obviously, but I didn't realize how much of the house was you. Your hands, your vision, your presence." Presence. The same presence he dismissed as obsession just months earlier. I kept silent. He continued, voice shaky. "I can't live here like this. I can't. The neighbors saw Rachel leave. They think I cheated, and now everyone looks at me like I'm trash. My coworkers joke about the empty mansion. Even my mother called to ask why the house looks abandoned." He exhaled shakily. "I need your help, please. Come back, or just help me redesign it." I let the silence stretch, long, heavy, until he began to panic. "Lauren, are you there? Please say something, anything." Finally, I spoke. "What exactly do you want from me, James?" He paused. I could almost hear him rearranging his words, trying to sound sincere. "I want another chance," he said. "I know I messed up. Rachel was stupid and selfish. I never should have." I cut him off. "Stop. This has nothing to do with Rachel." He froze. "This is about you," I said. "Your disrespect, your lack of effort, your inability to value what you had until it was gone." He swallowed audibly. I know that now. I took you for granted." "And now you want what?" I asked. "For me to come back and fix the house, fix you, fix your life." My voice didn't rise. It didn't shake. It didn't crack. It was steady, controlled, like someone who had already made peace with the ending long before the other person noticed the story was over. He tried again. "I'm willing to do anything. I'll pay you. I'll apologize. James," I said quietly. "This conversation ended before it even began." He stopped breathing for a moment. "You want me back not because you love me, not because you regret what you did, but because you're uncomfortable. Because the house is empty. Because your new girlfriend left you. Because reality slapped you harder than I ever could." "Lauren." "No," I said firmly. "You didn't lose me when I walked out. You lost me the moment you decided someone else made your life better." His silence was loud. The divorce is finalized, I continued. We're done, legally, emotionally, physically. I heard something break. Maybe a glass, maybe his composure. His breathing quickened. Please, please don't do this, he whispered. I already did, I said. And I ended the call. I didn't block his number. Not yet. I wanted to see how long it would take for him to give up. But something in his voice, desperation, maybe humility, felt strangely satisfying. Not because I wanted him back or wanted him hurt, but because he finally saw the truth. I was never the thing dragging him down. I was the thing holding him up. Without me, his house was just wood and plaster. Without me, his life was just noise. Without me, he had nothing beautiful left to cling to. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel sadness. I felt clarity. The kind that comes only after everything false has been stripped away, like wallpaper peeled off a wall, revealing the raw surface beneath. That's when I realized something important. Some endings aren't tragedies. They're renovations. The final message from James came on a rainy Thursday evening. I had just finished a client consultation and was sketching layout ideas in my new studio when my phone buzzed. Normally, I ignored unknown numbers, but something made me glance at it. Not curiosity, not concern, something closer to completion, like a door waiting to be closed properly. Lauren, please, just one last time. I need to talk to you, not about the house, about everything. For a moment, I simply stared at the message. I could have blocked him right then, sealed the last crack in the wall between us. But a strange calm came over me, like a deep breath before a final chapter. I typed a short reply. You have 5 minutes. He responded immediately, sending an address, a small cafe downtown. Neutral, public, safe. Fine. I arrived before he did. I chose a table near the window where the soft glow of the street lamps refracted through the rain. I ordered chamomile tea and waited, tapping my finger rhythmically against the cup's handle, not out of impatience but certainty. I had changed. I had grown. And nothing he said could alter what I already knew. I wasn't going back. James walked in 5 minutes later. He didn't look like the man I had married. His posture slouched, his clothes wrinkled, his beard untrimmed. His eyes were tired in the way people get when life forces them to see themselves without filters. He sat across from me, hands trembling slightly. You came, he whispered. No, I corrected gently. I arrived, there's a difference. He blinked, then nodded as if he deserved that. I don't really know how to start, he said. Everything feels empty. I didn't speak. Silence had become my most powerful language. He took a deep breath. You were right about the house, about Rachel, about everything. I don't know what I thought. I guess I believed that love meant comfort, that comfort meant everything would stay the same forever. I raised an eyebrow, and did it. He gave a humorless laugh. No, nothing stayed, not the house, not the girl, not the life I thought I could build without any effort. He looked down at his hands for a long moment before meeting my eyes again. Lauren, I need to tell you something. The day you left, I told myself you were being dramatic. I told myself you were trying to punish me. But when the walls were bare and the floors were empty, when there was nothing left to hide behind, I realized it wasn't the house that felt hollow. He paused. It was me. I didn't blink, I didn't soften, I simply listened. I treated you like a convenience, he continued. Like background music, something nice to have but not something I needed to understand. I thought your work was just furniture and paint. I didn't see that you were weaving life into every corner of that space. His voice cracked, but I stayed steady. You made the house feel alive, he said. And without you, it's just a collection of rooms that echo. I folded my hands on the table. So what is it you want from me? He swallowed. I want forgiveness. The rain outside intensified, tapping against the glass like soft applause. Forgiveness, I repeated. He nodded. Not because I expect you to come back. I know that chapter is closed. I know I destroyed it. but I need to know if I can fix myself even if I can't fix us." That surprised me, not because he wanted to change, but because he finally understood that change had nothing to do with getting me back. I leaned forward slightly. "James, forgiveness isn't something you ask for. It's something you earn, not from me but from yourself." He looked confused. "What do you mean?" "You need to forgive yourself for choosing comfort over effort, for choosing fantasy over reality, for choosing temporary admiration over long-term respect. Your healing won't begin with my approval. It will begin when you stop looking backward." He stared at me, absorbing every word. "Do you hate me?" he finally asked. I smiled softly, sadly but kindly. "No, James, I don't hate you." His shoulders loosened, as if the weight of the world had lifted. "But I also don't love you anymore," I added. His relief froze. His expression collapsed. But he nodded, slowly, painfully, accepting the truth instead of fighting it. "I understand," he whispered. I stood up. He rose too. "This is our ending," I said gently. "Not a punishment, not revenge, just closure." He nodded again. "Thank you for meeting me," he said quietly. "Thank you for everything you did, even if I didn't see it at the time." "You're welcome," I replied. "Goodbye, James." He opened his mouth, maybe to ask if we could ever be friends, but he stopped himself. He knew the answer. I turned and walked out of the cafe. The cold night air met my skin like a fresh start, crisp and clean. Each step felt lighter, freer, more certain. The past stayed inside the cafe. The future waited outside, wide open. As I reached the corner, my phone buzzed. An email from a high-profile design firm I had applied to weeks ago. "We are impressed with your portfolio and would love to schedule an interview. Your design vision is exceptional." I smiled. Not because of James, not because of the house, but because of myself. Because everything I rebuilt, every piece, every breath, every decision was mine, fully mine. Some houses collapse when you remove the furniture. But some women rise when you remove the man. And I had risen, not in spite of losing everything, but because I chose myself over everything.